right, ladies and gentlemen, it appears 13 hours ago we had something very, very, very exciting drop for the Wuthering Waves community. And that is, of course, drip marketing for the newest 5-star character, Cantarella. And before I dive into a breakdown, right, of everything that's going on with her, what she might mean in the story, some of the relationships she's gonna have with some of our existing characters, I just wanted to look into how goddamn popular she is. And I can give you two really good reasons why. And so you can see over here, 13 hours ago, this thing already has 46k likes and 1.4 million views. Absolutely insane. You're seeing this other one over here with 21k with the animated version. She goes a little bit crazy in that. And we're looking, right? We see characters like Brant with 43k, also very high, to be honest. We're seeing Camellia with 52. Do recall that was quite a while ago, and and the drip marketing isn't nearly as high quality. And then we've also got Carlotta with 34, and of course, right, it gets lesser and lesser as we go on, with Phoebe down at 32, and probably less for many of the other characters. And so with that, it's pretty clear, right, that in such a short amount of time, Cantarella being up here at 46k is pretty crazy. It is a pretty sizable achievement, and I'm excited to see how far this number is going to go. It's pretty clear that Kuro is doing something right with the design of their characters. And even though it's kind of clear that Cantarella is kind of like a bit more on like the Dami, Mommy, whatever you want to call it side, I mean, following the release of a character like Phoebe, who's obviously, right, a lot more conservative in how they look, I think it's, you know, something that is a little bit give and take with the gacha space, right? And it's pretty clear that a lot of people are looking forward to this character. And so with that, let's go ahead, let's dive into what is going on over here. So we're going to be seeing Cantarella in all of her glory, a lot of little jellyfishes, and I'll tell you what those mean in just a little bit. So let's get into some of her descriptions over here. The current head of Fisalia, Cantarella the Bane. Whether I am the bane of the wicked or the pure is yours to decide. And so right off of the bat, right, we're very familiar with the Fisalia family. However, we're only familiar with one part of the Fisalia family. You all remember, if you've done Carlotta's story quest, and I hope you have by now, it's been more than 2 months since that thing released. They were considered the bad guys throughout that entire sequence. If you would remember, one of the darkest nights in the Montelli's family history was when the Fisalias actually raided several of their compounds, and there were quite a significant number of lives lost. And that is one of the elements of Carlotta's story quest that's focused on a lot. However, one thing to note is that the Fisalia family as a whole isn't necessarily evil. There's a fair number of them who, you know, get up to some nasty things like Gilberto was during the main story quest, but as a whole, it doesn't necessarily imply that they're all criminals. For example, Rosemary is part of the Fisalia family, and as you can tell, right, they got kind of like a similar color. They got like a similar color aesthetic going on. But she is one of these NPCs, right, across Renacida that you're able to go ahead and buy things from. She makes your life a lot easier. She's definitely somebody that you're visiting very frequently, right, as you're going ahead and you're leveling characters. So it's not like everybody in the Fisalia family is inherently evil. And you can see they got a bit of a similar dress code going. So just wanted to get all of that out of the way before you're thinking, oh my gosh, right, we're gonna be playing like, you know, we're starting to play villains now. I'm pretty sure that Cantarella and her motives in the story, they're gonna be very nuanced. They're gonna be very multi-dimensional, and there's gonna be some dark, there's gonna be some light. But as far as we can tell with the way that the 2.0 story is going, it's going to be pretty damn good. So with that, let's get into some more of her description. The Fisalia family's 36th head, Cantarella Fisalia. She locks your gaze with eyes as deep as the ocean, where dark tides seem to surge and swirl. So a little bit different from Carlotta, who's kind of like the executor, or kind of like the second in line for the Montelli family. Cantarella is straight up the head. Think of Carlotta's adopted father being the head. She's sort of like the adjacent version of that. And this is where stuff gets a little bit interesting. And I think this is where notes of what she's going to do in combat, or what attribute she's going to be, become a lot more clear. She locks your gaze with eyes as deep as the ocean, where dark tides seem to surge and swirl. Let me show you all a character, or not really a character, but an enemy in Wuthering Waves. Kind of the same vibe, right? Kind of the same vibe we got going on over here, where Lorelei is inherently, right, linked to the ocean. And look at this. She's Havoc. She is Havoc. Even though all of her color coding, all of that stuff is supposed to be related to, you know, blue, the deeps, all of that. And I would just imagine, right, where dark tides seem to surge and swirl, that to me, and the existence of her jellyfishes, you know, the stuff I mentioned before, and the number of massive jellyfishes, right, that appear in Lorelai's fights, well, it's kind of the same exact vibe. And so I would imagine, right, that Cantarella might actually be a Havoc character. And that is, again, just linked to all of the different context clues we have, with the main one being, of course, this boss that we've seen featured so many times in the story. And guess what, guys? Who was trying to make Lorelai go crazy? Gilberto from the Fisalia family was trying to make Lorelai go crazy. And that's because they have like some sort of existing relationship. I wouldn't be surprised if the head of the Fisalia family is a similar sort of element or a similar sort of vibe to Lorelai, given that relationship that they had back in the main story quest. And so with that, for a moment, you think you glimpse something in the ocean's depths, but you are unsure if it is a shadow of a giant sea creature or the tail feathers of a celestial steed. And so this is where it maybe turns to reason that maybe she could be a Spectro character as well, a bit more Shorekeeper coded. But I would say if she was Spectro too, she would look extremely similar to Shorekeeper, because they're both wearing like white dresses. They both kind of have like the blue aesthetic going on. Cantarella is a little bit more purple, while Shorekeeper is just more like purely blue. But I think like having a bit more differentiation would be better. And if Cantarella ends up being Spectro as well, now we're going to have two, you know, kind of like mommy-looking Spectro characters that both wear like dresses and stuff and are going around, you know, summoning and like doing all that stuff in combat. So I think she's Havoc. This is why I think she's Havoc. Fisalia family, you know, does stuff with Lorelai, and she's the head of it. And they're kind of coded exactly the same when it comes to colors. The dark blue, the purple, etc. All of that. And just going by what she has showing up over here, the current head of Fisalia, Cantarella the Bane, well, there is a new status effect in Wuthering Waves that is actually called Havoc Bane. And while enemies are able to apply it right now, there's currently no playable character on the roster that can apply it. And so if you're just reading some of the context clues over here where she's literally called the Bane, well, this would be a pretty apt way of introducing the mechanic, and perhaps we'll see it over here. Maybe her jellyfishes apply it. When it comes to what she might do in combat, clearly we have no ideas right now, but I would assume that these jellyfishes, they're some sort of like summonable creature. She's probably going to use them a lot. We see her using them in the trailer over here. And I imagine that they're going to either do coordinated attacks, do something off field, have like a delayed effect, something that just persists beyond what she's actually doing in combat. And that's what probably makes the most sense for me. Otherwise, they wouldn't be featured so heavily in her splash art if they weren't an integral part of her kit. That would be my take on it. And we all know what summonable creatures do. I feel like she's very Farina coded, you know, with how her 3 pets work in Genshin. Now let's get into, guys, some more parts of her marketing. They also released this absolutely crazy trailer. So let's get right on into it. 15 seconds. 15 seconds, but I promise you all it's a good 15 seconds. So the jellyfish is floating around deep in the ocean's depths. Who else do we find deep in the ocean's depths? Lorelai. That's crazy. This is the part I was talking about. This is exactly the part I was talking about. Why is she doing this? I don't think she does this in the splash art. She doesn't do this in the splash art, but she's doing it here. That is... These devs know what they're doing. These devs know exactly what they're doing. They know that there's probably a good part of their player base that's a little bit frustrated, right? That they have to, you know, skip a male. In the latter half of patch 2.1, they're going to have to skip Brant to go for their mommy-only portfolio. And, yeah, she's here to drain them of their asteroid completely. The second patch 2.2 drops. I'm assuming she's the first character. But yeah, that's kind of crazy. That's kind of absurd. And the thing is, guys, I think that Kuro did an absolutely amazing, fantastic job with what they're doing with this character, because this is not the first time we saw her. If you've been keeping up with things like live streams, if you've been keeping up with things like all the story trailers, Cantarella was actually first teased, and you're gonna see what is most rewatched. She was first teased here.
Together we dive into...
And you can kind of see over here, right? Looking a little bit different. This is a bit of a close-up of her. We see some sort of perfumey action going on over here.
We dive into the sea.
She's gonna be here for a close-up, and you can see we're getting a little bit close with her, right? Some could say neck and neck. Some could say chest to chest. But she was teased way back 13 days ago, right? During the live stream for the 2.1 patch, and let's just say she sparked quite a bit of excitement across the community. And I love what Kuro did here by releasing all of this information on the upcoming roster earlier and earlier. That's something that they did, right, with the deluge of drip marketing they did for 2.0. And now with this character, who's now been officially confirmed, we're gonna have this character who is yet to be officially confirmed. And of course, her, right? Everybody kind of knows who she is already, but this is probably just another sign, right? The first of these three is shown as playable. I think that this is literally the devs telling us the next 4 playable characters. We have Cantarella, we have Zani. We're gonna have whoever this redheaded elf girl is, and then Cartithia. Dark mode. And what I am assuming is that this is the actual order that the new limited characters are going to be released in. I think there's a reason why it goes from Phoebe here to Brant here to Cantarella here and then Zany over here, because that is the literal exact order. At least these first 3, right? That's the literal exact order that the characters are going to be coming out. And so this is what I believe. If Kuro Games does not drip market another character for the next patch, I think Cantarella is going to be the only one for 2.2. However, if they do release another character, I would put money on it being Zani. And if they don't release Zani, I think she's going to be in 2.3. And then this character is going to be in either 2.3 or 2.4, and then she's in 2.4 or 2.5. It depends on how that release schedule is going. We'll see if they're going to do 2 new 5 stars every single patch. But that is where my money is going to be. I think the order that we're seeing it right here and brilliantly done by Kuro Games, that is exactly how it's going to happen. And so this is the big news, right? If you are a Zani enjoyer, if you have loved this character ever since you set foot into Renacida and she told you how to use like the bank and you ate pizza with her and had drinks and all of that shit, and you've still been in love, then guess what, ladies and gentlemen? I do believe that she is finally going to be the next one on the docket. Kuro has basically been edging us for the entirety of the patch, and I can think of 2 good reasons for why they're doing that. And, well, it's finally time. We're gonna have to wait, I think, at most 1 or 2 more patches for her, and she's been cooking for a very long time. And so with that, that's going to be our coverage on Fisalia. That's gonna be our coverage on drip marketing as a whole. I'm gonna say that this is some of the best overall marketing that I think I've seen for a game. I think the fact that as long as they go by this order and the fact that they're teasing this order, this is one of the best things that they've done for players, right? People know exactly who's going to be coming up. People know exactly who to save for, like who to prioritize, and they're releasing all of this information, right? This was 13 days ago. They're releasing all of this information super early. And so, you know, everybody, right? Sure, you can be somebody that looks at leaks. Even if you're somebody that doesn't look at leaks, right? You're going to know exactly who to save for, who to pull for, and who to target with your asteroid. And I think that is awesome. That's Kuro sticking to their word. And that's a company, right, that's trying to make the gameplay experience as good as it can be for its consumers. And that's somebody who you want to support. Let me know what you all think. Peace out.